In a world of changing times and cultural shifts, there emerges a generation that remains both resilient and enigmatic. Welcome to the dawn of Generation X, a generation born between the early 1960s and the early 1980s, often overlooked yet undeniably influential. This era was characterized by a rapid evolution of technology, a shifting socio-political landscape, and a transformation of cultural norms. As the world was spinning on the axis of change, Generation X stood at the forefront, experiencing it all firsthand. Born into a time of innovation and imagination, they were the pioneers of video gaming, the first to witness the birth of music television, and the last to experience a childhood without the omnipresence of the internet. From Atari to MTV, their childhood was marked by an explosion of creativity and a thirst for novelty. As they came of age, they found themselves in an unstable economic climate, witnessing the oil crisis, the rise of corporate globalization, and the fall of the Berlin Wall. These events, among others, shaped their worldview, fostering a sense of resilience and adaptability that would define them for years to come. In terms of culture, they were the ones who embraced the spirit of rebellion and individualism. The rise of alternative music, grunge fashion, and independent cinema was largely fueled by their need for expression and their refusal to conform to societal expectations. Moving into adulthood, Generation X faced unique challenges in the workforce as they navigated the transition from traditional career paths to the emerging gig economy. They were the first generation to truly embrace the concept of work-life balance, redefining what it meant to be successful. As the internet and digital revolution took hold, they witnessed a seismic shift in communication and connectivity. From dial-up modems to the advent of smartphones, they adapted to a rapidly evolving technological landscape, shaping the way we live, work, and interact today. Through it all, Generation X has left an indelible mark on history. Their resilience, creativity, and independent spirit continue to shape our world in profound ways. Today, we embark on a journey through the remarkable history of Generation X. From Atari to MTV, Generation X experienced childhood in a time of innovation and imagination. As children, they were the first to navigate the pixelated mazes of Pac-Man, the first to feel the thrill of piloting a spaceship in Space Invaders. They held the world at their fingertips from the comfort of their living rooms, through the magic of video games. These digital pioneers didn't just play games, they were part of a revolution that would change entertainment forever. This was also the generation that grew up with the rise of music television. The launch of MTV in the early 80s was more than just a new channel on their TV screens. It was a cultural phenomenon. For the first time, music wasn't just something to be heard, but also to be seen. Pop stars turned into visual icons, and music videos became an art form in their own right. MTV brought the world closer, broadcasting not just music, but also news, documentaries, and other programs that shaped the worldview of Generation X. But let's not forget, this was also the last generation to experience a childhood without the internet. Yes, you heard that right. There was a time when playdates were made face-to-face, when research meant hours in the library and not just a quick Google search, when the only viral thing was the common cold. They had the best of both worlds, the simplicity of the past and the excitement of the future. Generation X was the bridge between two eras, the analog and the digital. They were the pioneers of video gaming, the first to witness the birth of music television, and the last to experience a childhood without the internet. Their upbringing at the crossroads of major technological and cultural shifts shaped them into a unique and resilient generation. As they came of age, Generation X faced economic uncertainty, marked by events like the oil crisis and the rise of corporate globalization. This period in history was characterized by an era of profound socio-political changes, which undeniably left an indelible mark on this generation. For starters, let's consider the geopolitical tension due to the Cold War. This was a time of nuclear threats and a space race, casting a long and ominous shadow over their formative years. This tension, coupled with the fear of nuclear annihilation, created a sense of urgency and an understanding of the fragility of peace. In the economic realm, the influence of globalization was gaining momentum. Free trade agreements, outsourcing, and downsizing became buzzwords of the time. Corporate giants were on the rise, and the era of mum-and-pop businesses was slowly fading. This shift in the economic landscape led to job insecurity and economic instability, which Generation X had to navigate and adapt to. On the domestic front, the political climate was characterized by scandals, impeachment proceedings, and a growing disillusionment with political leaders. This generation witnessed the Watergate scandal, the Iran-Contra affair, and the impeachment of a president, events that significantly shaped their view of politics and government. Amid these turbulent times, there were also significant strides in social justice and equality. The women's movement, the civil rights movement, and the gay rights movement were all gaining ground, challenging societal norms and pushing for change. Generation X stood witness to these movements, and many were active participants, advocating for a more inclusive and equitable society. The socio-political climate during the coming-of-age years of Generation X was a mix of tension, change, and progress. These experiences shaped their worldview, influencing their attitudes towards work, family, and society. They witnessed the fall of the Berlin Wall, the end of the Cold War, and the dawn of a new era of American politics. These landmark events signaled a shift in global power dynamics and heralded the start of a new world order. For Generation X, these events were not just history, they were the backdrop of their lives, the context that shaped their perspectives and their place in the world. Generation X embraced a spirit of rebellion and individualism, reflected in the rise of alternative music, grunge fashion, and independent cinema. This spirit was born out of a desire for authenticity, for a voice amid the noise, and it led to a cultural revolution that continues to reverberate today. In the realm of music, the humdrum of pop was disrupted by the raw emotion of grunge and the fiery passion of punk rock. Bands like Nirvana, fronted by the iconic Kurt Cobain, captured the angst and disillusionment of a generation, while artists like Madonna pushed the boundaries of pop music and female empowerment. These were the anthems of Generation X, echoing through the halls of history. On the silver screen, a wave of independent cinema broke through the Hollywood gloss. Directors like Quentin Tarantino and Spike Lee brought a fresh perspective, crafting stories that were gritty, nuanced, and unapologetically real. Their films, from Pulp Fiction to Do the Right Thing, challenged the status quo and invited audiences to see the world through a different lens. Fashion too became a canvas for self-expression. The polished aesthetics of previous decades gave way to grunge and streetwear. Flannel shirts, ripped jeans, and Doc Martens became symbols of a generation that valued comfort and authenticity over conformity. It was a time of cultural exploration, of pushing boundaries and challenging norms. Generation X didn't just consume culture, they actively shaped it, leaving an indelible mark on music, film, fashion, and beyond. They gave voice to the voiceless, paving the way for future generations to express their individuality and creativity. Through their cultural contributions, Generation X has left a lasting legacy. They were the generation of Kurt Cobain, Madonna, and Quentin Tarantino, shaping the cultural landscape with their unique perspectives. These icons and movements, born out of a spirit of rebellion and individualism, continue to influence our world today, a testament to the enduring impact of Generation X. Navigating the transition to adulthood, Generation X faced challenges in the workforce and redefined traditional notions of success and fulfillment. Thrust into a rapidly evolving economy, they adapted, and in doing so, reshaped the modern workplace. Where previous generations found security in lifelong careers, Generation X ushered in the era of the gig economy, valuing flexibility and autonomy. They pioneered remote work and flexible hours, challenging the conventional 9-to-5. But it wasn't just the workplace that saw change. As Generation X entered family life, they broke away from traditional family structures. Dual-income families became more common, as did shared parenting roles. They sought to provide their children with the emotional support and open communication, often absent from their own upbringing. As adults, they questioned, challenged, and ultimately redefined societal norms. They were the first generation to embrace the concept of work-life balance, prioritizing family and personal growth. With the advent of the internet and digital revolution, Generation X witnessed a seismic shift in communication and connectivity. This was a generation that went from recording their favorite songs on cassette tapes to streaming music on demand. They transitioned from writing letters to instant messaging, from waiting for the newspaper to real-time news updates on their smartphones. As technology evolved, so did Generation X. They weren't merely bystanders in this revolution. They were active participants, innovators, and adapters. They were the ones who designed the first websites, who filled the chat rooms, who made the transition from analog to digital. They embraced the benefits of technology, while also grappling with its challenges. Their experiences with this technological revolution have influenced how they navigate the digital world today, and how they guide the younger generations. From dial-up modems to smartphones, they adapted to a rapidly evolving technological landscape, shaping the way we live, work, and interact today. Despite being sandwiched between the larger baby boomer and millennial generations, Generation X has left an indelible mark on history. This generation, often overlooked and underappreciated, has quietly influenced every facet of our society, from technology and politics to culture and family life. In the realm of technology, Generation X has been the bridge between an analog past and a digital future. They've seen the evolution from record players to streaming services, from typewriters to laptops, and from rotary phones to smartphones. They've adapted, innovated, and paved the way for the digital world we live in today. Politically, Generation X has been a force for change. They've challenged the status quo, advocating for equality, environmental sustainability, and social justice. Their voices have echoed in the halls of power, influencing legislation and driving societal progress. Culturally, Generation X has revolutionized entertainment and fashion. They've given us iconic music, groundbreaking films, and daring fashion trends. They've shaped pop culture in ways that continue to resonate, influencing and inspiring younger generations. In terms of family life, Generation X has redefined success. They've pursued work-life balance, championed flexible working arrangements, and sought fulfillment beyond the traditional 9-to-5. They've shown us that success is not just about climbing the corporate ladder, but also about finding happiness and contentment in all areas of life. And yet, the impact of Generation X goes beyond these tangible achievements. Perhaps their most profound legacy is their spirit, a spirit of resilience, independence, and creativity. They've faced adversity, navigated change, and emerged stronger. They've dared to be different, to think outside the box, to challenge conventions. In many ways, Generation X is the generation that has shaped our present and is paving the way for our future. They've taught us that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace. They've shown us that it's not about conforming to expectations, but about forging our own path. Their resilience, creativity, and independent spirit continue to shape our world in profound ways. As we conclude our journey through the history of Generation X, we are reminded of the timeless truth that every generation leaves a legacy, a story waiting to be told. Today, we've traced the footsteps of a generation that navigated remarkable technological change, embraced individualism, and redefined success. A generation that, despite its challenges, shaped our world with resilience and creativity. As we wrap up, we're inspired by the indelible mark of Generation X. Join us next time as we explore the next chapter.